So how do you plan for retirement in your 40s? Well, guess what? I'm 47 as of this month. Happy birthday to me. Yes, I do accept gifts. Thank you very much. But if you want to find out how you can actually create retirement and start that right now, hang in there because we're going to give you that answer right now. All right, so welcome to your 40s. It's the best way. What do they say? That the 40s is like the new 30s, or I don't remember what they say. All I know is I'm in my 40s now. Now going to my late 40s. And I'll tell you, many people that are of my generation, they're like, man, and maybe this is like you want to be able to figure out how to create financial freedom. And maybe you want to do it even before the age of 65. If that's the case, I'm not going to give you the answer of what you can do to plan for retirement later on, but even how you can do it, maybe, possibly even retire while you're still in your 40s, while you're still young, full of life, and you're still in your so-called 30s, then in your 40s, or whatever it might be. Whatever it is, that's what we're going to cover right now. So hang with us because I'm going to show you how I did it myself by the time I was in my 20s. Okay, so let me tell you more about my story and how I was actually able to do it. Now, I started as a financial advisor, and I did this in my 20s. I did this for 4 years. Now, my whole plan as a financial advisor was, can I live cheap? Can I save enough money and stuff it in my mutual fund and retirement accounts and everything so that by the time I'm age 40, I'll have $2 million. Because if I have $2 million, I can then live on 3% a year, which is what traditional retirement financial advisors will say nowadays, is 3% is what you can pull off of. I can live on 3% a year. That's $60,000 a year. Now, 20 years ago, $60,000 a year sounded awesome. $5,000 a month sounded great. But unfortunately, with inflation, it's more than double that now. That's like somebody saying, I want $10,000, $12,000 a month today. That's what I thought $5,000 a month was back then. And so my whole goal was, if I can just save up enough money, accumulate and stash away, turn off the heat in the wintertime, turn off the AC in the summertime, make my family miserable so that I can retire by the time I'm 40, this is it. And so that was my plan as a financial advisor. Here's the thing, you're probably in your 40s right now. You might have different levels of amounts. Maybe you haven't started for retirement yet. Maybe you've already been on that journey, but you're wondering how to do it better. If you're going to try to save up in mutual funds, here's the deal. It's going to take you a while, right? It's going to take you some time. In fact, the stats are this. Fidelity has 45 million account users, 45 million people with retirement accounts of 401ks and IRAs, yet only about 810,000, that's about 1.8%, have $1 million or more. Now remember, if you're trying to retire using your traditional retirement accounts in the stock market and things like that, it will take you a long time to get there. Why? Because one, there's inflation. It's like the Dalmatian, chasing after the fire truck. You're chasing after it and you never quite catch up to it, right? Inflation is like that fire truck you're always chasing. Plus you got returns to the market, but then as the market starts going up, you're like, yeah, this is awesome, But if you've been around long enough, you're more like me in my late 40s, you remember what the stock market used to do in the early 2000s, don't you? It sucked, right? It was horrible. And now we've had 15 years of the market just going chaotically, wildly up before now we're wondering when it's going to start crashing again. So you wonder, is it going to be the right timing? What am I actually going to make? How's it going to work? This is why even now, again, only 810,000 people have at least $1 million, yet 35% of them, when they're polled about it, think it'll take a miracle for them to be able to retire. Because again, 3% of $1 million is $30,000 a year. That's not enough. You got to have multiple millions. If you want $100,000 a year that you want to live on in today's dollars, you have to have 3.33 million right now so that you can live on $100,000 a year lifestyle, which is what most people tell me. Usually they want somewhere between $100,000 a year to $10,000 a month, $120,000 a year, something like that. Some of you are even saying, I want $20,000 a month, $30,000 a month, depending on your lifestyle and the things you want to have as freedom. That's a big order because whatever that number is that you want in today's dollars, you got to times by about 33 times. So if you want $100,000 a year times that by 33, you need 3.33 million in a traditional retirement account. If you want to be able to retire, with $200,000 coming in a year, you got to have $6.66 million and so on and so forth. And that's in today's dollars. And you got to keep increasing that number as each year goes on because inflation is trying to kick your butt. It's not very hopeful. And the truth is that's why I left financial advising, because I realized pretty quickly I'm not going to be able to retire, nor has anybody else I've seen retire comfortably where they do not worry about money. And by the way, if it really worked, wouldn't there be a lot more financial advisors that are able to retire off their investments, not off retiring off of giving you bad advice? Just saying. So here's what I did. 2006, I eventually quit being a financial advisor, but I went down the path of real estate investing. I realized it wasn't about accumulating money. It's about how I accelerate and create income. It's acceleration, not accumulation, is what gets you to be financially free faster. By the way, if you want to be financially free while you're in your 40s, I'll tell you from my own experience, by doing this very thing, I was able to retire when I was 28 the first time. Then a recession kicked my butt because then I got a little bit cocky and a little bit lazy with my investing. I gambled a little bit too much, and so I lost money. And so I had to do it again. I actually went over $1 million in debt because I had a business that was almost failing at the time. I had some real estate properties I bought that were horrible, horrible properties I would never buy today. Bought all of those. I went over $1 million in debt. Had to pay all that back over the next almost decade. I was able to retire again in 2016 when I was 39 years old, with this time with about $10,000 a month of passive income. Now I've actually built up the passive income to over $40,000 a month at this point. It's actually possible. I was able to do it twice. And here's how. I got out of the stock market. I got out of the 401ks and IRAs. Here's the thing. If you want to retire in your 60s, a 401k and IRAs can be fine because all the rules point to retiring after 59 and a half, right? Because you get the early withdrawal, 10% penalty. Like if you try to pull out from a 401k or an IRA before you're 59 and a half, they not only tax you, income tax, which is the highest tax you can possibly be taxed, but two, you get a 10% penalty. So for some of you, if you're in a higher tax bracket, you might lose at least a third to a half of your money to just taxes and penalties alone, trying to access your money retiring sooner. If you want to hope to retire in your 40s or even in your 50s, I don't think a 401k or an IRA is a good thing. It's like trying to drive to Paris, France. You're just going to drown on the way there, right? It's not the right vehicle to get you there. So you need something else. And there are plenty of things to do that your financial advisor either doesn't know about or doesn't want you to know about. And the truth is, they probably don't know about it because they haven't done it themselves, because they don't know how to retire either. It's like the blind leading the blind, and you're trusting this blind person to get you somewhere that has been sold to you like it's some kind of like fantasy, right? But it's not true. It's not real. It's all fiction, right? You want something that actually really works. So I do real estate, but I don't actively invest in real estate. I passively invest in real estate. I let real estate investors do the work. I finance what they do. Did you know, and this is what blew my mind when I quit being a financial advisor, did you know that you can actually lend your money to a real estate investor and then they pay you interest? And did you know that they actually pay you a contractual interest? And on top of that, if they stop paying you interest, if they don't pay you, just like you, if you stop paying your mortgage payment, what happens? You get foreclosed on, right? You can also foreclose on them. So for example, what if you have an investor that says, hey, I'm going to buy and then renovate this property and sell it for over $300,000, but I need $200,000 to start. Well, here's the good news, guys, is that one, if it's true, like that value actually is legit, hey, if he gets it to the point where he renovates it, builds it out and everything, and you can sell it for $300,000, that's great. Because if he happens to default in the meantime, if he doesn't actually pay you back, you foreclose on him, you still have your $200,000 you can get back plus some profits too. The better part though, because that is a little bit extra work on your end, the better thing is, some will actually pay you in the high single digits, but in many times, at least with the connections that we have, they'll pay at least 10 to 12% a year of interest on your money. So if you're loaning them that $200,000, they're paying you 10% interest, guess what? You're making $20,000 a year off that money. You understand that $20,000 a year is dang hard. Remember, if you had to do the traditional retirement plan, you'd have to have like $660,000 in that retirement plan to live on $20,000 a year. You don't have to do that here. Like you can have literally $200,000 to make $20,000 a year. Some cases, they might even pay more. Sometimes $200,000 can turn into $2,000 a month. And that could be either a lending into a specific property, it could be a lending fund where they buy multiple properties with it, so you're a little bit more diversified. There's a lot of different ways to do that. There's even things you buy like rentals. I like to buy turnkey rentals because the great thing with turnkey rentals is, like give you an example, 6 years ago I bought a property in Tennessee, $32,000 down payment. That's with closing costs and everything. Well, at first my monthly payment or my monthly cash flow, profit and all, after I paid the property manager, I didn't have to find the property. I didn't have to do anything with finding renters. It was all done for me. And the cool thing is I was still cash flowing over $300 a month. What's even better though, is that over each year, the rent keeps going up. Every time they renew that lease agreement, it keeps going up and up and up. And especially with inflation, that's a great way to keep up with it. So now, guess what? I'm now making over $800 a month of income, like net income from this property. And it also appreciated almost $100,000. Guys, in total over the last 6 years, I made $165,000. Had I put that same $32,000 into the stock market, I would have only had about $65,000. Yeah, the market would have doubled over that 6-year period, which is great. But I don't only have $65,000, I'd have to pay taxes on that thing. Horrible, right? So there's so many options available to you. Things you can invest in apartment buildings, there's self-storage. You can actually do in business partnerships. There's car wash businesses you can actually get into and get profits from that. There's things like raw land. There's all kinds of ways. Oil and gas, all kinds of ways you can make money that, again, financial advisors will never teach you because either they don't know about it because they can't retire themselves, or two, they don't want you to know about it because that means you're going to take the money away from them and they don't get paid anymore. And guys, personally, I'd rather have you get paid than worry about them, whether they pay for their own families and they're putting their kids through college with you, whether you make money or in the market or not. That to me is criminal. So that's where you can actually take control. You can actually retire sooner than later. Just so you know, like if you can make 10% return of cash flow on your money, you can do like what one of my clients did, where he actually had $1 million in his retirement accounts that he saved up into his 60s. But then his financial advisor said he'd live on $30,000 a year. We actually showed him instead, like, listen, if you go and diversify and do some of these different things in the real estate space, look at this. You're now making over $100,000 a year. Guys, he was able to not just retire, but retire comfortably. And now he just does passion projects. Now he works on the side just because he wants to, not because he has to. And that can be true for you as well. You can actually grow your income faster, just like I did, where I was able to retire really twice by the time I was 40. So if you want to be able to plan for retirement in your 40s, why wait till your 60s when you could do it right now? That's the cool thing. I actually had another client, by the way, they're actually in their 40s right now. We actually got them to sell off their house because they wanted to homeschool their kids, travel the world, and be able to give them a new experience and be able to live abroad. And so they moved to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, right? And then actually have sold off their property, sold it off, took the equity out, went and invested in different things, and now they have rental income coming in to pay for their lifestyle while they're being expats in a different country, homeschooling their kids, and they come back to the US visiting family and friends and actually living the life that they always wanted. That can be possible for you too. The question we always get is, well, yeah, but how? The best thing to do is go to moneyripples.com. There's a passive income calculator there. Fill that out completely. You fill that out, it takes just a few minutes to fill out. You fill all that information out, we'll give you a number. You'll pretty accurately figure out how much passive income you could create in the next 12 months if you invest it right for passive income. Go to moneyripples.com and try that today.